Hello viewers, welcome to our channel. Today I came with a very important portion, that is geography of regional development. According to new syllabus, it is included in economic geography part. But we have to prepare this part very intensively because different type of intellectual questions are asked every year from this part. Today we will discuss concept of region, typology of region, and delineation of formal and functional region also. One thing to say that this part is equally important for all UG and PG students. So I hope today's lecture will also beneficial for them. Please don't forget to share and subscribe my channel, and let's start. We don't go through the definition of region because you need not to memorize the long definition. Here you will only understand the concept of the region and what are the criteria that must be possessed by a region. So we have to understand the criteria to become a region. The first is region have a location. Obviously region should be a territorial unit on our earth's surface, and the region are expressed by some locational name. For example, Middle East, Southeast Asia, Northwest Europe. This locational name was given in accordance to their location on the earth surface, right? So region have a location. Secondly, region have a spatial extent. Region don't cover the whole earth surface, so it must be a spatial extent. Region have boundaries. This is the most important elements of a region, that every region have a boundary, and from this boundary another region starts. For an example, where Himalayas end, Indo-Gangetic plain begin. So region have a absolute boundaries, and these boundaries are important for delineating the region. The next 2 point, that is region should maintain homogeneity within its boundary and distinctiveness outside from boundary. These are 2 basic criteria to become a region. If a region should maintain a homogeneity within its boundary on the basis of certain criteria, the criteria may be physical or maybe social or maybe cultural, whatever. If it should maintain the homogeneity in some criteria within its boundary, so the area is called as region. And obviously it should distinctiveness outside from the boundary. So these 2 are important points or criteria to become a region. Then regions are hierarchical arranged. We have discussed that where the region ends, a new region starts from there. So regions are hierarchical arranged. And last is region have transitional boundaries. Generally region do not have sharp boundaries. In most of the cases, their boundaries are transitional. It means there is some overlapping of one phenomena over the other. So these are the criteria to become a region. Region basically have 3 main types: formal region, functional region, and perceptual region. Formal region and functional region are 2 main types that we will discuss broadly in later. Now we should understand the concept of perceptual region. What is perceptual region? Perceptual region is defined by how people perceive of an area. It means It is based on the shared feelings and attitudes of people who live in the area. It actually reflects the cultural identity of the people in those regions. For an example, when we hear the name of Northeast India or suppose South India, when we hear the names, the first thing that comes to our mind is that this area is totally unique from other areas of India. And their socio-cultural identity of people of those areas makes it unique. So the idea is nearly stereotypes. So this region do not possesses any precise border. This region is also called as vernacular region. So coming to the one of the main type of region, that is formal region. Formal region is a perfect example of region because it follows all the criteria that should be possessed by an area to become a region. Formal region is a geographical region which is homogeneous and uniform within a specific criteria. It means formal region are areas where a certain characteristics is found throughout the region, which also make it different from surrounding areas. This is called formal region. Now this homogeneous criteria or characteristics could be social, could be physical, could be political. For an example, we know that S.P. Chatterjee divided India into 7 physiographic divisions, and that was done on the basis of topography. It means based on physical criteria. So each subdivision that was done by S.P. Chatterjee is called the formal region. These are the very suitable example of formal region based on physical criteria. In our syllabus, formal region delineation is not mentioned. We know that. They are only mentioned formal region and functional region. But we have to prepare this under formal region because we should ready for any question asked by NTA. You don't believe NTA? Previous year से ऐसे question आ रहा है that are not mentioned directly in our syllabus but related with the topic obviously. So we should know all the delineation technique as usual. There are two main delineation technique of formal region. First one is weighted index method. Second is factor analysis. Weighted index method is subdivided into 3 methods: fixed index, variable index and cluster method. We will discuss its next slide. Now we should know about the basic idea of this method. It is most basic technique for formal region delineation. We have discussed earlier that to identify a formal region, firstly we need to consider some amount of homogeneity. Homogeneity is an essential ingredient for formal region delineation. And this homogeneity must be based on certain criteria. Suppose a criteria is being assumed, that is per capita income. Here the region, subregion A and subregion B. These are two subregions. Suppose average per capita income that we have assumed as criteria. Suppose the average per capita income of subregion A is calculated and average per capita income of subregion B is also calculated. Now, these two subregions may be fall in same region or it may be fall in different region. It totally depends on degree of homogeneity between these two regions. Here, a certain definite limits are taken. Now, suppose the difference of average per capita income between subregion A and subregion B is small. If XA minus XB is small, X means per capita income. Per capita income of subregion A and per capita income of subregion B is small, then it has to be considered that A and B maybe fall in the same region, because here the degree of homogeneity is larger, because difference is small, so the degree of homogeneity is larger. Okay, so A and B can be considered in the same region. But if the difference exceeds the prescribed limit, it means the degree of homogeneity is slow between this region. So A and B fall in different region. So we have cleared about the weighted index method. In previous slide, we have shown the process which is only applied when one criteria is chosen. But if more than one feature is taken, then the following two methods are employed. One is fixed index method and second is variable index method. So what is the difference between them? This is very important to know. Under the fixed index method, a number of common characteristics is chosen for each region. Whatever characteristics are chosen, that should be common for each region. Then an arbitrary weight is given to each criteria and a single weighted mean is obtained for each region. Then the contiguous regions are grouped together. But in variable index methods, variable weights are given for each region to highlight different level of activities. Suppose a region A is wheat region and B is coal region. So normally the weight of wheat index will be larger in the region A and weight of coal index will be larger in the region B. So here the weight is given to show the difference between each activity in each region. So this methods can be used when the criteria can be compared with each other. So next one is cluster method. It is mainly a mapping technique by which we can identify homogeneous region. We can demarcate the homogeneous region. You know that in GIS we can do mapping by clustering interrelated variables with the help of superimposed technique. This is called cluster method. Another is factor analysis method. It is very important method. It is mainly used for delineating economic health regions. It should be remembered that it is used for delineating economic health regions. These methods involves different criteria that are interdependent with each other, and it involves the grouping together of units which display a considerable degree of dependence. It is also a mapping technique, and here each parameter is mapped out separately, then all the maps are kept one over another. Then common region will be demarcated, that will form a region. So coming to the next part, that is functional region. Functional region is a territorial unit. Obviously it should be a territorial unit to become a region, but it is distinguished from a formal region because whereas formal region always maintains a kind of homogeneity, but Functional region does not maintain any kind of homogeneous characteristics because it is composed of multiple subunits interacting with each other. These multiple subunits can be diverse formal area. So it does not maintain the homogeneous characteristics. In a functional region, it is most important characteristics of functional region that there should be a centralized hub, or we can say the point of distribution. The focal point of the functional region is where the greater amount of activity in the region will occur. People and activity will flow towards and away from the focal point at various times of the day. The biggest example of this metropolitan city, suppose Kolkata. People commute daily from the surrounding area to the city to carry out different type of economic activities. So here always function is continuous running. This is called the functional region. So how we can delineate the functional region? The process is totally different from formal region because there is no kind of homogeneity on the basis of which we can demarcate the region. It is composed of different heterogeneous arrangement. So it is a kind of different process from formal region. So two approaches are mainly used for delineating functional region. These two are very important for NET exam. One is flow analysis and another is gravitational analysis. So what is flow analysis? In functional region, we can say different type of flow. Suppose economic flow. What are the economic flow? Road, rail, commuters flow, commodities flow. This all the economic flow. Social flow such as students flow, patients flow, doctors flow, flow of different occupational secretary, etc. Political flow such as government expenditure flow, information flow such as newspaper flow, telephones flow. This all are required for maintaining a function. Flow mainly for inter-regional function analysis. Intra-regional. Intra-regional means within a region. It means flow builds up between dominant center and surrounding satellite on the basis of direction and density. If we want to highlight the spatial flow, we can construct different flow maps. Normally, in flow maps, each flow will show decreasing intensity as it becomes more distance from the main dominant center and increasing intensity as it approaches another center. This is the main characteristics of flow. Then the boundary of the influence of the dominant center is to be demarcated where the flow intensity at a minimum. When the flow significantly drops, that means the interaction or influence also drops. So another important technique of function region delineation is gravitational analysis. In flow analysis, we deals with the actual spatial flows among dominant centers and the surrounding satellites. But gravitational analysis is concerned with the forces of attraction between two centers or towns rather than actual flows. Now the gravity model assumes that the interaction between two centers is directly proportional to the mass of these centers. It means mass can be population, can be employment, income, expenditure, retail turnover. And it also says that interaction between two centers are inversely proportional to distance. Distance can be physical terms, kilometers, times, price, and intervening opportunities. Now suppose two centers I and J. So the gravitational force of attraction between two centers I and J is expressed as Gij. G means gravitational attraction of two centers or towns, that is I and J. K is the constant value. Mi, Mj. Mi means the suppose population of center I and Mj means population of center J. So the gravitational attraction is directly proportional to Mi, Mj and inversely proportional to Dij. Here D means the distance between I and J. So this is all about the gravitational analysis. Now we will see an applied example of gravity model, that is retail trade model. It is one of the earliest application of gravitational analysis that was done by W.J. Rayleigh. He states that the force of attraction with purchasing power is proportional to number of retailer in a town V. Here number of retailer indicates the mass of a town and inversely proportional to number of distance in a town V from village. So the structure is same as like gravity model, only factors or ingredients are different. Now one more thing should be remembered, that is potential model. प्रीवियस ईयर में एक क्वेश्चन आया था कि व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन ग्रेविटी मॉडल एंड पोटेंशियल मॉडल. Potential model is also same as gravity model, but what is the difference between them? That gravity models deals with only two places at a time, while potential model accounts for interaction between many places. So this is all for this topic. If you prepared this, so it is enough. Please comment us for any queries and subscribe for more videos. Stay at home. Thank you.